Welcome to the Balance Code podcast, a place where you have permission to step outside the hamster wheel of day-to-day life and learn tools to create more balance. My name is Katie Ressler. I'm a licensed therapist and burnout and hidden grief specialist. I support ambitious, goal-driven people who are ready to get off the one-way train to burnout and start to enjoy life again to the fullest. Oh, and by the way, I'm a mom of 3, an expat living in Germany who is still learning the language, and an entrepreneur. Living my balance code is what keeps me able to work in incredible ways without burning out. So let's find your balance code. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Balance Code podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be interviewing Mel Larsen, who's a business growth mentor guiding entrepreneurs and CEOs to measurable results. She has coached thousands of entrepreneurs around the world to finally trust their big vision and joyfully grow the business of their ultimate dreams. It was such a pleasure interviewing Mel, and I know you're going to enjoy listening to her share her wisdom today about how we can start creating better balance in our lives through simplifying using the tool of a vision board. So let's get into it. Everyone, today I have a very special guest. Mel Larsen is here, and we're going to be talking about some ways that we can simplify things in our lives and a particular tool that's really helpful to do that so that we can create better balance. Mel, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I already know you're going to share so much wisdom, so I'm going to thank you ahead of time. Thank you for the wisdom that's coming.
Thank you so much, Katie. I am absolutely thrilled to be in your space. Really excited about having a good old chat with you.
Thank you. So we met at the 15 Seconds Festival, and really briefly, I had written you on LinkedIn. We wanted to connect. We saw each other, but it felt like an instant yes. This is someone I want to talk to. And when we started to talk online, I realized your work in vision boarding and helping people really look at the future and not be so scared of it, be really excited by it, be really driven by it, is something I think not only entrepreneurs can benefit from, but everyone. And this podcast serves ambitious and high achieving people, not just women, but men as well are listening, who are in that place where how they're living their lives is leading towards burnout, or they've already hit it. So tell us a little bit about what you do, and let's dive into your own journey of creating balance in your work and in your personal life.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, I help entrepreneurs, committed, caring entrepreneurs, to finally trust their big vision and joyfully and strategically grow the business of their ultimate dreams. And I say business and entrepreneurs, but I also support anyone who wants to lead on something. So sometimes it's not just entrepreneurs that work with me, but people who have a passion project, something they want to make happen. And by the way, I just love how you describe the work I do. And I just made a little note when you talked about being excited about the future rather than being scared of it. That's such powerful phrasing. I love you. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. I mean, I listened to your talk at 15 Seconds Festival, and I was like, this is a woman who is about being in the moment and seeing the future and celebrating it. Like, it's wonderful. It's glorious.
Thank
What
you.
has been your own journey to get to that place?
Oh my goodness. How long have you got? I mean, I'm going to be celebrating my 60th year next year. So there's a lot of life to talk about. But the kind of summary version is when I was much, much younger, I didn't have great self-esteem. I was ambitious. Where my ambition came from is I have a mother who is really, really into life, very experimental, has traveled a lot. And she used to read Cosmopolitan magazine. Do you remember that magazine?
Yes.
And when it arrived, I would just devour it. And it was, one of the first sort of feminist magazines, and really sharing with women, you can have what you want, you can go for it. And I'm talking like, 45 years ago, when that was a very, very new, somewhat radical message. So even though I was very shy, I wouldn't speak in public very much. And I, would look at other people and think, they're amazing, I'll never be like that. When I read this magazine, it started to sow the seed of, you know what? You can do anything you put your mind to. And then to cut a long story short, I discovered coaching in various different forms, like the personal development world, which I just found utterly fascinating. And I experienced for myself the power of being coached, of mindset work, of realizing that we can notice and observe our thoughts and habits and, question, does this serve me in my life? And then choose whether we wanted to change our thoughts and habits. And that led to getting into leadership and being coached to be a leader, which again, I never thought I would ever call myself a leader. And it still feels a bit weird actually to say I'm a leader, but leadership comes in so many different shapes and forms, and starting to get amazing, amazing results and seeing, wow, I don't have to live inside this box of my current reality. I can keep expanding what is part of my world. And although I'm saying I can keep expanding it, I know you're all about the balance and simplification in life. What I discovered was as I expanded my world, my life became easier, because when we are sort of full of worry and concerns, it makes life really complex. So, to cut a long story short, I founded 3 festivals in South London where I live, and this was all voluntary, saw the power of bringing people together in community to make changes. And I was working as a marketing consultant and successful at the time, but I got more and more into coaching. So also developed a coaching business. And now I have clients from all over the world. I have 3 programs that people can join, depending on which level they're at and where they want to go. And my work still connects me internationally. And I'm just really happy. I just love what I do. And I love making a difference. And I love stretching myself and helping other people to, as you put it, I'm going to start using that a lot now, feel excited about their future rather than feeling scared of it. Can I help you to be my marketing person, Katie? Can you just write my copy for me?
Happy to. It's always easier to write for other people than myself. So yes, happy to. So when we talk about looking, like you just said, that ease, that is something I hear a lot of people talking about wanting more in their life. Ease, relaxation, a flow. The word flow comes up a lot too. That doesn't happen when we're filling up our plates with more and more and more.
Mm.
So what is a tool that you can give us in really looking at the life we desire to have and how we go from where we are right now to like getting to where we want to be?
Well, so many tools. I'm going to home in on a core one that I share with people who encounter me and work with me for the first time, which is vision boarding. It's very, very simple. And what it requires is first of all, let me explain what a vision board is. In its simplest form, it's a collage. It's just a collage, which can be digital or it can be images ripped out from a magazine or a set of postcards stuck together or photographs. And it represents visually your ideal future, your dream future. And I just want to say, before I talk about why it works, I always quote the world-renowned neuroscientist, Dr. Tara Swart, who endorses vision boards, because I know some people think they're a bit woo-woo. I know when we were talking before, we were talking about how vision boarding can kind of rise and fall in popularity. People can critique it. But for me, if neuroscience says it works, that's good enough for me. And actually, I know it works because I've been doing it for decades anyway. But I know some people are like, what is this? How can a collage change my life? But it's incredibly powerful because visual language is for those of us who are born sighted, is one of our earliest languages. And it's not just about visuality, it's also about feelings, deep feelings. So what really works is to calm yourself, get into a good state. I always think, there's 2 ways to do that. You can either like meditate and get really still, or you can get into a heightened state. Like I went for a run this morning and I just feel really buzzy and fantastic. Or you can dance until you feel, your heart pumping and, just basically a state where you feel really, really good. It can be an ecstatic state or it can be a very deep calm state. And those are good states for visioning in because you're feeling good, your body feels good, and really thinking about what do you want. And one of the things I use with my clients to guide them into that is guided visualization, or I'm increasingly calling it guided manifestation. So I'll encourage people to really imagine their future, use all the different senses, and to really think big, because we are growing creatures. We grow as we live, we grow as we go through life. And you and I are not going to be the same people in even 6 months' time, let alone a year or 5 years. We're going to keep learning and growing. So it's a good idea to set a goal that stretches you a bit, so that you've got something to grow into. And then when you're imagining what you'd like, and I tend to encourage people to think about one core thing, you can create your collage about that. Sometimes it can be a specific goal. Sometimes it can be more like a feeling, like I want my life to feel peaceful, is a really powerful one to do, or I want a romantic relationship, or I want, one of the things I've envisaged, and it's started to happen, which is so amazing, is having more holiday time. And when I first envisaged that, I really felt like, how is that going to be possible? Because my life is busy. I have a lot of demand for my work. How am I going to find that time? But the magic of envisioning is your subconscious mind will fill the gap for you. It will find a way. And I have found a way to make more time in my life so that I can rest more, which is just incredible. Still feels incredible to me.
Mentioned the neuroscience behind this. And I think it goes without saying there's enough science behind the power of visualization. This is why athletes do it. This is why people in high leadership positions do it, speakers. But then the vision board part of it is exactly what you said. Subconsciously, your brain looks for, where's the opportunity to make that happen? I've put this on paper. I want this. And we don't like that cognitive dissonance of, I put it on paper, but I'm going to do everything against it. Like, then we would go, okay, well, I don't want that vision anymore. I don't have that board for me anymore. I've ripped it up and put it away. We want to be coherent. We want it to work. So your brain does. And so when we talk about manifestation, people, if you're not into that word and you're like, oh, that's a little too woo, it's playing with your brain. It is literally teaching your brain to work for you and not against you. And I love the idea of going through magazines or going online, kind of like a Pinterest board, right? And like pulling everything together on that focused area, like you said, and go, this is what I want, whether it be around peace, or maybe you start out with, I want more balance in my life. And then you pull what that would look like in your work world, in your personal life, in your relationships, and your own health. I've been using vision boarding as well for a while, and it is such a powerful tool, almost to a point where it scares people. I think that's when they get into the like, oh, this is woo. And it's like, no, your mind just was really good at picking it out because you told it what you're looking for. So what are some wild stories that you have experienced in your own life or in your clients' lives of like, they put it on the board and they were like, no, there's no way, it'll take 5 years or whatever. And then it was like, oh, there it is.
Oh, so many. I'll just share the ones that just jumped straight into my mind. So from my own business growth, I really wanted to hit that kind of mythical 6 figures. It's kind of, it's sort of almost like a rite of passage if you're a business coach, and it seemed really out of reach. And I created this vision board that had the number 6 on it. It had all these different images that represented reaching that, but with real ease. And, part of my mind when I was making that vision board was thinking, yeah, right, how on earth is this going to happen? But I got really excited about it and I was kind of rocking and rolling. And then COVID hit. And I remember thinking, this is never going to happen now. But what actually happened was my business took off because, of course, lots of people were pivoting, lots of people were going online. And so although I was already successful, it just like really took off. And I went into 6 figures and well beyond actually with a lot of ease. And that taught me to never ever doubt the power of a vision board. And then once I was in that space, I was able to hold that space for my clients because, I've done it, I'm living it. And one of my great clients who I adore, Helen, came to me, joined my year-long program, and she wanted to take her business into 6 figures. And we reckoned, okay, it's going to take a year. And she did it and she created her vision board. And she said to me, I always thought vision boards were a bit kind of fluffy. She's a very strategic thinker. She's actually a CRM expert. She said, I'll give it a go. And she hit her 6 figures within 3 months, which was just amazing. And then I'll give you a kind of left of center story, which I absolutely don't promise this result. It's actually outside of my expertise. But one of my clients, she had just a few coaching sessions with me, actually, and we were working out what kind of a business she wanted to create, but she was also trying to conceive, get pregnant, and she credited her vision boarding. She created a vision board for her business. She created one about having a baby, and she'd been trying for like literally years, and, she fell pregnant and was overjoyed, and she called me left me a message, actually, and said, thank you so much. You helped me conceive. And I was like, I can't claim credit for that. But, vision boards the mind is magnificent. It is incredible. I've also had clients who've said, I put a house on the vision board and here it is several months later, I've bought that house, and sometimes people come back to me years later and say, like, there's a client of mine who now lives in New Zealand, and she used to live in the UK, and her dream was to move to New Zealand, and she has this amazing house, amazing life, amazing job. And, again, she contacted me saying, remember, I put this on my vision board and I'm now living it. So for some people, it can manifest very quickly. And for other people, I say manifest, maybe you could say transpire, achieve, happen, whatever word works for you. It can take years, depending on what kind of a person you are, what kind of mental challenges you need to work through, et cetera, et cetera. But it works. The mind is so powerful, so magnificent. And you were saying earlier, tell your mind what you want. And I always like to say, your subconscious mind is like the best personal assistant ever, but only if you tell it what you really, really want. And then it only wants to serve. It wants to keep us safe and it wants to serve. And if we get those two things handled, it can be the most incredible partner in your success.
The key to what you shared in the very beginning about coming to a peaceful place or being in a very high vibe energy place is that we are coming to your visioning not from a place of wounding. Because often when we go like, well, I really want this in my life, and it's grasping because of scarcity or fear or something like that. That is why those visions don't get created, because they're not from your true authentic self. And so it was so important you pointed that out in the beginning. So listeners, remember, come at it from a very peaceful, calm, relaxed state, or that, endorphin, dopamine, excited, like, yeah, I'm going to create my life state. When we come at anything from either of those levels, it's much more clarity. And I think that adds to simplification. So if I come to you, Mel, and I'm like, I'm doing too much. I have too much. I have committed to too much. Too many people expect too many things of me. Will this vision board actually help? What would your answer to it be, and how and why?
Well, I would definitely say yes, it will help you because it will help you to focus. And I usually encourage my clients to focus on the one thing. And it's usually like, take a year to focus on the one thing that's going to make a difference, like one goal. And then there are lots of other things that support that happening. I'm a very, very big advocate of adding community or team to your vision. So not going it alone. I know you run programs, Katie, where it's good to either have a mentor or a coach or a community, finding team. But I think going back just to the pure visioning part, it's not just visioning the end result. You can vision along the way. Sometimes I call it micro visioning. So it could be envisaging, well, what does my ideal day or week or month or year look like? Because, if we're focused on what's not working and the complaints, it doesn't give our inner virtual assistant much to go on. Whereas if we said, like for me with my holidays, I want to have much more holidays during the year because I do give my all to my clients and I need to rest and recover from that. And it's also when I have my holidays that I have some of my best ideas and I feel like I'm really rewarding myself. I get to spend really great time with my husband. So if I think about all those gorgeous things, and I only have to just imagine like the sea and the sun and the beach, and I'm already motivated, to make that happen. Whereas if I'm focused on, oh my God, my life is so hard and I barely have a moment to think, guess what I'm going to get? I'm going to get more of that. Because that's all I'm focusing on. I'm going to feel more and more drained and negative. But if I'm focusing on, okay, what are the things that are going to have this vision happen? Yeah, actually having a team or actually putting it in my diary that, one of the big breakthroughs I've had, Katie, is not working weekends. And that happened simply by writing in my diary on Saturday and Sunday in big letters, rest and recover. It's incredibly simple, but it was like this, not exactly a vision board, but a reminder, this is what the weekends are for. Because before, how I was visualizing weekends was it's an overflow bucket for all the work I didn't get done in the week. And then you can guess what happened was my Saturday in particular became this overflow. And we all know what the word overflow can also, that we associate with. It's just all this mess that I was putting into my weekend, which was just not making me happy. And what's really amazing and powerful and miraculous is when you create this vision for what you really want, you find the answers. Like I would have said to you, it's impossible for me not to work on Saturday, it's too much work. But when I really made it a non-negotiable, suddenly I found the time and the energy to make the week work. It was like I hadn't really realized that it was almost like because I had that overflow bucket, I would just rely on it. So, there's like micro visions that you can create, like really visualizing, like literally visualizing how does my week look that can create amazing results.
I really enjoy after the alarm goes off in the morning. Sometimes I hit the snooze button, but sometimes I don't. Laying there and visualizing what I want my day to look like. Going through the steps. And yesterday I completely forgot my daughter's, they have Brotzeit boxes here. So snack box basically, and her water bottle. And I was like, oh, and so this morning I laid there and I was like, I will remember the boxes. I will remember, and it was like just that, it was like positive self-talk. And it's exactly what you said, that personal assistant reminder, we're going to do this today. We're going to make sure we do this. So those micro visionings are so important and so easy to do at different times in your day. I love what you shared as well about the focus. That's what we lose sight of when we're stressed and overwhelmed.
Yeah.
We stop focusing because we're just like, it's like splatter paint. Like here and here and there and this. And that's often why we feel like we're constantly putting out fires. So being able to say, let's focus in, what is it, one core area of your life for this year, which feels like, oh, that's so long, but also it's so short. How do you want to grow? I think is a awesome way to look at it. A good reminder. Mel, this was wonderful. Do you have any other pieces of wisdom you want to impart on us before we finish up?
Oh gosh, other pieces of wisdom. I would say, life is for living. If someone like me who started out just feeling so inadequate and so hidden and almost wanting to be invisible can grow a multiple six-figure business, have the rest that she needs, the love, the joy, anyone can do it. We have the inbuilt capacity to grow. So anyone who's listening who feels maybe a little down or feel like you're failing, please don't give up. There are people around who can support you, and you can always grow into what you want to be and what you want to have and what you want to do. And I also want to say, Katie, the time we had at 15 seconds, I just got to see how big your heart is and what a beautiful, generous, caring person you are. I love your vision for people. And to anyone listening, Katie's the real deal. I've met her in person. I felt the heart vibration, and I would just say connect with Katie, work with her, because I think I'm a great judge of people. And people always say to me, wow, you have amazing people around you. And I just think the work you're doing, Katie, is like so needed in this world. It's like one of the core foundations, I think, of a transformed world.
Thank you. You've got me emotional. Thank you very much, Mel. I really appreciate that. And I'm grateful for you coming on here and sharing this wisdom and a reminder to all of us that we can really create the life we desire versus fall victim to it. If people would like to find you or be a part of any of your programs and things you have going on, where can they?
Oh, thank you. So it's easy. Just go to dreamprojectcoach.com. I'll say that one more time, dreamprojectcoach.com. And right on the first page, there's a freebie on offer. It's a 6-minute guided visualization. So you can do that calm thing, and I'll talk you through thinking about your future. It's only 6 minutes. And there's some lovely music in the background made by my husband. And you just download that and get started on thinking about your future. And of course, on the website, you can find out more about me and my clients and the kind of things I do.
Love that. I'll make sure the link is below in the show notes. Thank you again, Mel. Thank you so much for being on here. I feel like we could have many other conversations, but this was the perfect one and very timely right now for many of the listeners. So thank you very much.
Oh, total pleasure. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you have a moment, please leave a rating or a review so that others can find this podcast who are looking for support just like you. Let's connect on Instagram at katie.russler or at Balance Code Podcast, or check down in the show notes to find ways that we can work together and see other offerings that I have for you at this time. And as always, here's to finding our balance code.